Hi Book Dragons! It is 2018 and that means new reading goals. And to kick off the new year, I finished my first book, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I know a lot of other people have already talked about it, but I am here to talk about it. So let's go. So in Ready Player One, it's the year 2044 and pretty much everything has gone to heck in a handbasket is the easiest way to put it. The world's become pretty much overpopulated and it has lost all of its resources, so people are finding different ways to live. And one of them is through this online system called the OASIS, which is a complete, total, 3D, everything immersion game system that everyone pretty much has access to. Now, the creator of the OASIS at the beginning of the book has died. And he has set forth a game that all of the people in the OASIS are able to participate in. And that's where we meet our main character, Wade Watts, also known as Percival. If you get the reference, good for you. It took me a minute. And so we essentially follow him throughout the entire book as he goes about competing and winning in this game that the creator of OASIS had set forth after his death. Now, to go into a little bit more detail, hopefully this doesn't get too spoilery. The person who created the OASIS, his name was James Holiday. And James Holiday actually grew up in the 80s. So there are a ton of 80s references in this book, which is fine. I mean, technically you don't have to have lived in the 80s to completely understand the book. I was born in the late 80s. That has totally aged me. I know. I don't care. And so technically a lot of the pop references in the book are pop references that anybody can get because they're referenced even today in our culture over and over and over again. So you don't have to be an 80s baby in order to get the book. It helps just a little. So we start off at, like I said, at the beginning of the book, James Holiday has died. He has set forth a game to look for the egg. And in order to find this egg that he has put in the game, you have to find 3 keys. A copper key, a jade key, and a crystal key. These 3 keys will lead you to the egg, which then makes you pretty much the owner of James Holiday's company and the OASIS. Now, we'll get a little bit spoilery here. Wade Watts is what's known as a gunter. And a gunter is just essentially a gamer. But it's something that they gave to themselves when the hunt began, which is what they call the game. It's pretty much been 5 years up until Percival finds the first key. During this time, there's also a system called IOI out there that is intent on also winning this game because that is the only legal way that they have found in order to win and control the OASIS. Essentially, they're a monopoly. OASIS is the only thing that they don't own. They want to own it, and this is the only legal way they can do it. They can't do it any other way. So you have the Gunters and the Sixers, which is what the IOIs are lovingly referred to by the Gunters. And they're fighting pretty much the entire book to find the egg that Holiday has left behind. Now, it's called an Easter egg, kind of. And it's, like I said, it's the key to the whole thing. Now, other things about the book that I found really interesting was how immersive the OASIS actually is. A lot of this book, like, I want to say 50, if not over 50% of the book actually takes place in the OASIS because it is that integral to the people of 2044, because it is the only way that they can escape the reality that they actually have. This is actually so immersive that you can get jobs on there. We meet Wade Watts as he's actually finishing off school at an OASIS school online, which is a very interesting concept, and all these other things. You follow his avatar, who's named Percival, and a bunch of other avatars through the story. We follow Wade as Percival, and a couple other Gunters who become the main characters of the story, who then by the end of it end up leading the resistance against the Sixers. It's a totally amazing book. Like I said, even though it's full, chock full of 80s pop references, you don't have to have lived in the 80s in order to get it. It helps, not necessary. But Ernest Cline does a really good job with this book. It's done in first-person perspective, which is outstanding. There are only a couple authors I have found that have been able to successfully do a first-person perspective. And I think Ernest Cline has completely done it. And I was totally immersed in the book. It took me a little while just because I ran into the holidays and I did not read much over the holidays, I will be honest. But once you get going, this book will grip you by the face and it's going to hold you there, and it is such a page turner. It's also full of a bit of computer lingo, which I understand enough thanks to my husband to get and understand most of it. But again, what you have to remember is, to these people, being online is their life. So the OASIS is literally their reality. So I would totally give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. There is a bit more I wish I'd known. I kind of actually wish the book was just a little bit longer. And I wish we'd gone more into the world that 2044 had actually become. Because if you think about it, we are spiraling in that direction with a lot of things going on. And it'll be interesting to see if anything like this happens. But I am totally now an Ernest Cline fan. I want to read his other book, and I'm excited. So if you have time and you really want to read this, which I kind of recommend reading this before the movie comes out, which I don't even remember when that's coming out, sometime this year. Read it, so you can get an in-depth perspective of what exactly is going on in the movie. It's almost critical because I know they're going to cut some stuff out. Read it. Totally recommend reading it. Get your friends to read it. I'm going to see if Kyle will read it again. He got stuck not that far in. So, I'll see you guys in the next book review, which hopefully should be A Darker Shade of Magic. And I'll see you guys next time. Keep reading and burning through those books. Bye! My cat is hissing. This is fun. Okay, so